And welcome back, students, to another lesson. Today we are going to have our program get some styles. So stylizing and commentary code is the topic of the day. So first thing that we're going to kick off is with naming conventions. Whenever we make a variable, a string name, or an object, we should always have a meaningful name, such as using count to represent the count of an object. When writing out variables and other objects, we write them using their full name, right? So to make it easier to remember what the object is used for. So for example, if you were to have something that was like representing the pressure of something, you're not just going to put P because you may forget what P stands for. So instead, you'll write out pressure. When declaring objects as variables, typically we follow a pretty standard convention here that the first word is always lowercase, with each successive word having the first letter capitalized. So for example, string specialized greeting. You'll notice that specialized greeting is all one word, but how we differentiate between the two words is that you'll notice that the uppercase is applied to the first letter of the successive word. This is also what's known as camel casing. Commenting. All right, so this is a very important thing and a thing that students always complain about. But let's just take the scenario here. Let's say you start in a program, but you don't have time to finish it. You leave and come back tomorrow only to forget what the code you wrote does. And this happens probably more often than you might think. So what we can do is comment in order to help us keep track of what our code does. And this is good more than just one way, rather than not just like, oh, I forgot what my code does, but also it helps you document your code to make it easier to understand what the code is doing. Now there's two types of comments. The first one is single line commenting, which we do just with a // and the other one is multi-line commenting, which is done with a /* and then you close it with a //. This is also what's known as a block comment or block commenting. Now, when to comment, your variables, strings, and other objects are declared initialized at the start of the program, and those should come first. You would add the following comment prior to that block of code: declaration and initialization of variables. So that's kind of the free comment I'm giving you right now. I should expect to see that comment at the top of your program. Now, be sure to include comments that also tell us what a piece of code does. You know, if you're taking more into depth programming, you would move away from some of this like low-level commenting things. But this really does help when you're first starting off programming, helping you understand and reason why a line of code does what it does. So, for example, here I have console.writeLine hello world. In my comment, I'm going to say writes to the console the message hello world. The next thing to talk about is indentation. Indenting helps us to understand what level of code we are currently operating under. Now, the beautiful thing about IDEs, or integrated development environments, such as Visual Studio, today is that they provide automatic indenting. Now, as I mentioned, Visual Studio is an example of an IDE, and it will automatically attempt to indent your code and provides syntax highlighting in order to make it easier to read. All right, so that's really a quick notes there, but I want to show some examples here. So I'm actually just going to go over here to Visual Studio, and I'm going to go ahead and open up some of our previous examples that we've done here. So let's look at our, for example, our variable demo. All right, so I'm just going to show some quick commenting here, and I'll show you how to comment on some of the other ones. So I'll open the CS file here. And of course, here you have some different pieces. Now, as I said before, you have the declaration and initialization of variables. That is your very first comment. So when I look at your programs, you should have comments always in your program. So when we start, after we finish this lesson on commenting, guess what? When we get to the next thing, which I believe is conditionals, you should have comments in your program. When we get to loops, you should have comments in your program. Very important that you have comments in there. In fact, you will lose points if you do not have comments in your program. All right, so let's add that first line. So that's just declaration and initialization of variables. Okay. And that just goes right here at the top, right after this first curly bracket. Boom. Then you put your variables right underneath. So here's an X, Y, double Z, and answer. Okay. Then after that, I start adding some single line comments. So this right here outputs the value of X. outputs the value of y. Sums the value of x and y and stores it in answer. Right? And I could keep going on and on and on about what these are doing. Right? So let's just say I want to do a block comment. Right? Now this is not necessarily a good program to be able to do a block comment on. So let's just go look at a different one. So let's switch over. Let's go switch to a different solution here. And let's go look at our string demo. So here's our string demo that we did here. So similar as before, first comment I put in here, declaration and initialization of variables. Now, in here, of course, we have quite a few different things going on here. So I'm going to add in a comment right here that says calculates the length of a string. So, boom. There's name.length, right line.length. And then right here, I could add in one that says calculates a substring. So this is another way to kind of go through and kind of group code is by using these comments. Now, as I mentioned, we should do a block comment in here. So if I want to do a block comment, let me actually go over to our most recent example, which is the input-output demo. Okay. And of course, right here, we only have one variable. We should still put it there. Now, after that, I have console.write and console.writeLine. So in here, I'm actually going to place, I could put one comment that could do that. Now, let's say I want to get rid of some of this code. So let's say I want to get rid of another line. So it's no longer present in my program when I run it. To do that, I can do a block comment, and you'll notice that everything has kind of gone green. Because what that does is it pretty much, when a piece of code is commented, the program can no longer see it. So it is now just commented out another line. Similarly, if I wanted to comment out just, let's say, this console.writeLine here, I don't have to make a full block comment on it. I can just do that. The advantage of doing a block comment is, let's say I wanted to comment out this entire thing. Well, rather than simply just doing block comment, single line comments, I could do single line comments on every one of these pieces here, which could take some time. Or I can come right up here at the top here and block comment out that entire piece. So now the program can't see that, and this is really great for when I'm trying to troubleshoot something, is block comments work really good for that. Additionally, block comments are also sometimes used for documentation purposes. So I might, for example, come up here and create a block comment here that says something along the lines of compares the differences between console.write line and console.write. And you'll notice when I hit enter, it automatically added another star here. So that's one of the nice things about a comment. I don't have to come in and add another // It automatically will add that pieces in for me. All right, let's just add a comment right here. So loop for continuous input. And right here we could put a line right here. Prompts user to enter an integer. And of course then I could put here like gets stores the value in line. Checks to see if exit was typed. Now, the one thing I could do about this is rather than having to differentiate between if and else and what it is again, we could use a block comment. And what I can do, I can say checks to see if exit was typed. If exit was typed, the loop ends. Otherwise, the program attempts to parse the string. All right. So that's just some quick examples of how we can use comments within our program. So that's really all I kind of got for you today, folks. It's a kind of a quick and easy one, and I expect that our examples that you guys are going to do for the lab will also be quick and easy. So until then,